friend of mine, Tim Ray, solved this problem by nanonizing chlorella, putting it through a biochemical process by which all the ingredients are released. And that product is called NDF, and there's many reports on the internet of children with autism healing from taking NDF. And NDF is for me sort of like it's a mix of cilantro and nanonized chlorella. So it combines the healing principles of both things in one product. It's quite expensive, but it's excellent.
Have you used it?
Yeah, we use it on every child. And so my dream combination is to give people the TDD-MPS and the NDF. NDF is a great intracellular mobilizer, but because it's a plant-derived product, it has all the synergistic factors in that shuttle the metals not just outside the cell, but then there's a mechanism from taking it from there to attach it to the cholesterol. There is a mechanism from there to dump it into the bloodstream. There's a mechanism for excretion into the kidneys. There's a mechanism for turning on the liver detox pathways. Chlorella is the substance in nature that is known out of all the things tested that creates the highest glutathione levels inside the cell through mechanisms which we even don't understand yet. It has a specific detox peptides in it called sporopolyen. The plant has virtually a specific peptide for mercury, one for methylmercury, one for ethylmercury, one for aluminum oxide. It has for every toxic metal known a specific peptide in it.
Was this God's gift to creation for detoxing?
I
What man would do in a fallen world?
I absolutely believe that. I absolutely believe that. You know, if I only had one, and chlorella contains 50% protein. That means if you actually take like 60 pills a day, you have enough protein for your whole protein. So it's an ideal vegetarian protein. And it's the highest content of methylcobalamin, the most precious form of vitamin B12, which we in general need in these kids. So it's an ideal substance. It has been misunderstood because people use cheap products that can't be absorbed. People get cramps, they get diarrhea, they don't get the benefits out of it. Yeah, so it's really taking the best product. It's either the CGF chlorella, which is inexpensive, or then the highly refined product NDF, which is a preparation with a little medical twist to it that makes it so available to be absorbed so easily.
Go ahead, Dana.
Because you're the only guy, I think, who can answer this question, and people have this question.
Yeah.
Number one, I want you to describe the difference between NDF Meyer and NDF Plus from a utilization perspective. But I also want you to speak to NDF, metal-free, PCA-RX. Give us a little bit of history as you know it, and anything that distinguishes the three products.
Yeah.
Because right now, what parents are doing right now, they're buying unopened bottles and sending them off to labs to be tested for mercury, and it's like too good to be true that it works kind of mentality. And so I think if people understood the story behind it all, some of that would go away. Because right now they're just not using it because they don't get it.
Well, from what I understand now, this is sort of like proprietary information that you're asking me for.
That's
so
okay.
I can give like a little bit sort of like of an overview. So PCA was first. It's
From Maxim Labs.
peptide clathrating agent, it stands for. And it is based on several researchers have looked at my work with chlorella and then looked at, as a chemist on the East Coast, how can I extract the ingredients in chlorella and make them more potent.
Okay.
And he simply, from what I understand, it's an enzymatic cracking process. He makes a sludge with chlorella and then adds enzymes to it that then break up the hard cell wall, but leave the cell organelles intact, and then centrifuges out certain cell organelles, especially the sporopolyen portion, and then has another enzyme that cracks that open to make it bioavailable.
Because it's just a clear liquid. It looks
that's
almost
PCA.
homeopathic.
Yeah, that's PCA. Well, not really.
No,
It's
no,
really
it
something.
looks, but
Yeah, but it's clearly.
but isn't PCA almost the most powerful is the most the most
It's the most
concentrated?
Refined, it's the most refined for the sporopolyen, maybe for the most important for the peptide
Okay.
aspect of the chlorella. It's most concentrated in there.
And is that a mobilizer in nature, or it does the whole job?
Well, we don't know.
Okay.
We don't know for sure. It's definitely a potent mobilizer.
Okay.
I always combine it with regular chlorella as a binding agent in the gut.
Okay.
PCA plus the binding agent in the gut.
Okay, now it's good.
Metal-free.
Okay. Which is David Minkoff.
David Minkoff's
Doctor.
product. It certainly uses PCA as its origin, and from what I understand, he adds some frequencies to it.
Homeopathic.
He pulses homeopathic frequencies of other things into it to make it even more potent.
Okay.
And then NDF uses the same process, but leaves the cell sludge in it,
Okay.
which is filtered out in a PCA.
Okay.
And the cell sludge contains some valuable fragments for absorption of neurotoxins
So we're
that
getting
are
more.
missing in the PCA.
So you're getting more of other stuff and maybe a little bit less of this one technology.
Less of the magic, but more of the things that may just be as well important.
Okay.
Yeah, sort of like when you make carrot juice, you throw the pulp away and you drink the juice.
Right.
As we're finding out now, the pulp has many, many important ingredients that we should get as well. And so the NDF is a PCA plus a pulp, if you want, of the
Right.
chlorella.
And you've used all three at different times.
I
And
used
you
all
test
three.
anybody for any of them.
And they're testing all a little bit different.
They do.
They're all very good, and I think they're big revolutions in the field of biological medicine, that you actually can do metal detox without having to rely on any pharmaceutical product,
Right.
maybe, or chemical product like maybe EDTA or DMPS.
Because none of these are prescription.
None of these are prescription, and they can be made in your bathtub at home. If the world ever comes to a standstill, and there's no more communication systems, no more industry or so, all you need is a few algae which grow naturally in North America, chlorella, and you can grow these algae, and you can use natural enzymes from fruit to digest it, to make it available. So that is, for me, there's an aesthetic in it, a beauty in that I love, and that's why I like these products and like to include them, and they're on their own have been very, very successful. And
Two more quick questions with
helpful.
them. Number one, people really balk at the price of them. They think, oh my God, they're so expensive. But in your experience, they're generally worth the money.
Oh yeah.
Right, okay.
Well, they're far cheaper than TDDMPS.
Right.
To say the least. you know.
Right.
So
They
people
all-
always bargain if it's a natural looking thing versus
Right.
a chemical. They're always
Right.
willing to pay for a pill more than
And
for an herb.
And then the second thing, now that we sort of know that when you go topically or transdermally, you're going hopefully more in the nerves, whereas when you do it orally, you have a whole different system that you're going
Exactly.
through. I saw a report from a parent who the kid didn't like it in his mouth, so she just sprayed it on his skin and was shocked at the positive results she saw. So would that be something you'd consider, is actually doing it topically and rubbing it in?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, the PCA works better transdermally than the NDF, but they both work transdermally.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Very
no,
good.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
They,
Doc, I just want to make sure to clarify this. Typically, an herb is better when it's done in its natural state, right? I mean,
Well-
I think probably man has done with herbs is they've taken out some of the fine pieces and the surrounding protective items, are gone.
yeah.
Of the three that Dana, I mean, are you suggesting that? What do you recommend here? What do you recommend?
He's going back and forth.
But I
What do
clearly
you
recommend we will get to the final program in a moment,
Right.
but I recommend to do the TDDMPS and the NDF or the PCA along with it. And the NDF, a good dose for a 2-year-old, would be like 4 drops twice a day. So a bottle lasts for 2 months. Yes, it costs $100 or something like
Right.
that. But it's $50 a month. It's affordable by comparison to other things that we do.
Right.
And I recommend it alongside the TDDMPS, and certainly adds a lot of oomph to the program. It doesn't conflict with it, doesn't take away from the TDDMPS, it makes it all work better.
And very possibly some of these kids that weren't seeing success, the third that he hasn't seen it with in 2 years, could be something as
Yeah.
simple as the tapping technique, the magnetic mat, or NDF Meyer.
Well, and also chlorella has been shown to have an independent, very, very strong antiviral effect against the measles virus, against other viruses. So,
ADF.
well, the chlorella
Chlorella.
on its own, but then all the chlorella offshoots, NDF, PCA, metal-free, have the same effect. And they are very strong, stronger than DMPS in binding mycotoxins.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're addressing the whole issue of the bacterial and fungal toxins.
Would that include Lyme disease?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, absolutely. We give it to everybody with Lyme disease with very, very good results. It decreases the neurotoxic load dramatically. And it's interesting, of course it makes sense in nature. You know, the plants have to protect themselves all the time from the bacterial invasion and mycotoxin, fungal invasion and so forth. And so they've developed the mechanisms inherently in them. And chlorella is the oldest plant on the planet, so it has an advantage simply of wisdom built into it. You know,
But in
it's
Switzerland, they're just doing the quail and the cilantro.
just doing the chlorella into cilantro.
And much
How are
cheaper.
they? How are they doing it?
They just train the kids to eat it.
You get it in
Eat the quail.
They eat the chlorella, they rub the cilantro in through the skin.
But how do you eat quail? It's a fungus.
Oh, chlorella?
Yeah,
No, chlorella is an
chlorella.
algae. The little green pelts.
Okay, I'm sorry. So not eat it in its natural state. Eat it in the peel. In the pills.
Yeah, they eat it in the natural. Well, they're just compressed algae, you know, in the pill form.
Okay.
And they're kind of quite tasty. They have a crunchy, nice feeling, and many of the autistic kids love crunching on stuff. You know, they have a green mouth that way,
Yeah.
but they love crunching on these pills and kind of gnawing on them.
Not all of
And
them,
mums
but
don't- yeah.
like I said, my son, when he's in a toxic overload state that day, like a phenol type of,
Yeah.
he like will totally eat them, but most of the time he doesn't like them that
It
well.
was just very dramatic, the reports, you know, of a large group of moms from Geneva and other areas in Switzerland that got together and tried different protocols, and they came up with this, with dramatic healing results, you know, with autistic kids. So,
To,
you know,
just to finish this, the Meyer versus Plus of the NDF, are they for different things, different prices?
the NDF and NDF Plus are different in only one way, that the NDF Plus has the underlying remedies in with it.
The what?
The underlying remedies I mentioned before to treat strap and staph
Oh, okay.
and the molds.
Okay.
So it's got the anti-mold remedies in with it.
Would you recommend that over the NDF? Would you recommend the quail?
In general, it's a good idea because it catches one more mechanism, you know, that we talked about
I-
before. It's automatically built in there.
Does
You
it
just
cost a lot
about-
more?
No, I
Oh,
think
well
it's
then
the same.
do Plus
I
probably.
think it's the same price.
Okay.
You've just about come up with a medicine combination that, if I calculate correctly, is hitting on 3 or 4 of your factors.
Yeah.
The NDF? Oh yeah.
No, that's why these things really stick out. The TDDMPS hits all the metals, plus has an overlap into the Lyme disease toxins, fungal toxins. The NDF is much stronger with that in binding the mycotoxins and the bacterial toxins, plus having an antiviral effect, plus with the NDF plus having an effect against strap and staph and molds on homeopathic base. So if you're covering many of these, the pathology issues we find in the autistic kids in just one product. That's why it stands out. Plus, it covers your daily need for methylcobalamin. Plus, for beta carotene, there's a lot in there. Plus, it has all the amino acids in that are needed for the shuttling of the metals. Plus, it has all these peptides, you know, that inhibit the metals, that bind to metals and make them water soluble, so they can come out. So it's been a long time coming. I started lecturing on chlorella 20 years ago. We did our first experiments with it. I had a lot of enemies with it. You know, there's